I'm talking about the history of perfect food. Hello, I'm Angel and welcome to my channel. I don't remember how old I was when it occurred to me that all the apples at the store were about the same size. I do know that it wasn't until I was an adult that I started wondering about what happened to all the ugly food. And by ugly, I mean the apples that grew to be too large, that were just too small, or had sunburn on them. There is a difference between food safety and food appearance. The U.S. Department of Agriculture was established during the Lincoln administration. Before this and arguably after, food safety was more on the consumer, buyer beware, and the Department of Agriculture didn't really have any teeth to enforce any standards. This in spite of the fact that heads of the department did try to get Congress to pass food safety regulations. It wasn't until 1905, when Upton Sinclair published The Jungle, that consumers and legislators realized more needed to be done to protect the nation's food. Some of the steps that were taken in the early 20th century was the establishment of the Food and Drug Administration, a federal agency of the United States Department of Health and Human Services in 1906, and the passage of the Pure Food and Drug Act. The Food Safety and Inspection Service was responsible for making sure that food was packed safely. For nearly 90 years, they operated on a see, touch, smell rubric until the implementation of HACCP, the Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Points, which went into effect in 1997. The safe handling of meat, poultry, and eggs is different from the handling of produce. The FDA publishes the Food Code. According to their website, the Food Code is a model that assists food control jurisdictions at all levels of government by providing them with a scientifically sound, technical, and legal basis for regulating the retail of food service segments of the industry. This includes grocery stores. With all these agencies looking out for our food safety, it might be surprising to know that there's a large number of foods that, even when moldy, can be safely salvaged, prepared, and served. When I worked in food service, I was told people eat with their eyes, meaning that if something doesn't look good, people are going to pass on it. And moldy food looks pretty bad. If a person is choosing between an apple that has a little bit of sunburn on it and an apple that doesn't, they're going to choose the apple that doesn't have the sunburn. I think another contributing factor is that fewer people have gardens. After World War II, suburbs started cropping up across the country and people started moving in. Restrictive covenants in a lot of these suburban areas made it nearly impossible for people to plant anything that was edible in the front yard. Within 20 years, most people at the apple display had never picked a fresh apple before, and were only ever able to choose from what the grocer had pre-selected for them. The industry noticed and began making changes. Producers pay the USDA to grade their products. I can't pinpoint when the USDA began grading produce, but I think it might be associated with other practices. I was able to find a few clues. There are 15 fruits and vegetables that must meet a minimum quality standard just for their appearance. Produce that doesn't meet these standards cannot be sold fresh for human consumption. The earliest indicator I was able to find about the implementation of appearance standards was in a 1974 newspaper article in the Dayton Daily News. People were lamenting how complicated the grading system was to unravel, and retailers assured local customers that they were receiving premium quality produce. In a 1977 Bioscience article, authors referred to the required cosmetic appearance standards as new. To get a more accurate date for you, but I was unable to find it in the course of my research. So I did what any rational researcher would do, and I called the USDA.
Thank you for calling the United States Department of Agriculture. Please listen carefully. Our options have changed. To repeat all options again, please press the star key. Please stay on the line for the next available representative.
Hello, Cisco Unity Connection Messaging System. From a touch-tone telephone, you may dial an extension at any time. For a directory of extensions, press 4. Otherwise, please hold for an operator. This system is temporarily unable to complete your call. Call again later.
What?
Bye.
What? No! I've been on hold for like 8 minutes. How are you gonna hang up on me?
Then I sent an email. I did receive a confirmation that they received my email, but I haven't received an actual answer to my question. So when I do, I'll be sure to put it at the top in the description. Sadly, it is wasted, and at an astonishing rate. Customers are increasingly scrutinizing the agricultural industry. Environmental concerns about everything from water consumption to pesticides has people looking more closely at the amount of waste our cult of perfection is causing. A November 2018 article in the Journal of Cleaner Production estimates that a small number of supermarket chains control a large share of the market and impose criteria that ripple across the market chain. Quote, produce that doesn't meet these standards may be lost from the food supply chain, never seeing the supermarket shelf. It may not get past the supplier or even leave the farm. Our estimates suggest over a third of total farm production is lost for aesthetic reasons. What do you think we can do to reduce the amount of food waste because of the appearance of the fruit or vegetables? Leave a comment down below. I'd love to know your thoughts. Here are some of the things that are happening now. The government has programs that buys excess and ugly fruit from suppliers and sends it to food banks and emergency response organizations. The highly specialized processing equipment and transportation costs make it difficult for farmers to outright donate the food. This cost barrier can leave smaller farmers without access to the secondary market. And those markets that do receive donations really need to be able to accept high volume, and they need to be able to distribute it rapidly before it spoils. Since the 1970s, a growing number of farmers have implemented a pick your own day, or even a few weeks. Pick your own has been a practice for centuries. It is also called gleaning, and it is when people go in after the harvest and pick the leftover food. Unlike a few thousand years ago, people have to pay for the food they pick, but it's at a substantially lower cost than the supermarket, and the people that I know who've done it consider it a family outing. With the power of the internet, some companies are able to buy the ugly food and supply it to people across the country. My husband and I have started using a company called Imperfect Foods. This video is not sponsored, it's just something that we happen to start doing ourselves, because even though we aren't 100% plant-based eaters, we still eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. That tells the YouTube algorithm to recommend it to other people watching similar content. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.